Hello everybody, welcome back to an episode of My Thoughts. We're back here. It's been a little bit over a while since we did really the last talking video. I know I went on the break, and I'm going to explain a little bit of that here before we actually get started into the actual topic at hand. I know we took a little bit of a break. I went on a trip, then I took a little bit of a break from content, put out some gameplay a little bit later Friday, which was yesterday as you guys are seeing this. And Thursday I was just really busy. I had a lot of 4th of July stuff going on, and I was having a little bit of a party. Um, yeah, just been really busy, and like I said, I've said in the past, usually I want to put out a lot of gameplay. It's just because I'm busy a lot, just for miscellaneous things. But usually, no, I'm not, and I always say this, gameplay isn't necessarily a bad thing on the channel. It's something I do here on the channel. I always say sometimes it's just easier for me to put out gameplay than to sit down and do a talking video because I'm so busy. Not that I don't like doing talking videos, it's just a little bit more I have to edit. Um, and stuff like that. So it's nice to take my time. But we're back here. We're going to be getting back to our normally scheduled content, a little bit more of the series that we have going on here on the channel, stuff like that. So yeah, with that being said, we're back here with my thoughts, and I'm going to be talking about a little bit about NBA. Now, if you guys don't know, I'm a huge sports fan. I like most sports, baseball, football, basketball, obviously, we'll be talking about here today. Um, Hockey too. I like hockey. Now this is the first time I've talked about the NBA, particularly in this channel. Specifically on my thoughts. I've given my thoughts on the NBA Finals and a few other things, but I haven't really made too much sports videos, at least in terms of like my thoughts, because I could give my thoughts on a lot of things going on around sports. So I want to start doing that more as the NFL season rolls around and the NBA season obviously comes back, and MLB and NHL stuff too. So I definitely want to be making more sports related my thoughts, just because I can give a lot of good insight on sports and stuff going on, and kind of going to start that off here in today's video. So obviously, like I said, more relatable gameplay. I have some 2K gameplay in the background, basketball obviously. So I'm pretty much going to be reviewing the 2024 NBA free agency signings. Now, not trading. For those of you who are not really into sports, it's probably best to probably not. It's probably not your the most interesting video to you if you're not really into sports or just the NBA in particular. So, but if you do know the NBA, and if you're following it, obviously if you're a fan, there have been some huge trades, not even trades, just more free agency signings. Was like I said, what we're going to be going over here, which I won't be going over trades. Really just the free agency signings because there have been a lot of big NBA names who have signed in free agency. So we're going to be taking a look at that here. I'm going to be looking at a website. Now, I'm going to be giving, obviously, my thoughts, so we're going to be more or less raw. This is my raw thoughts on it. But I'm not just going to be looking at the list here, so I keep track of, like, each free agency signing. So, the draft is concluded and the drama is just beginning as the new NBA league year is upon us. Players are cashing in as teams prepare for a rapidly expanding salary cap in the wake of new broadcast rights deals, which this is just from Fox Sports and Stories and all that. I'm going to be reading a little bit of an article, but this is more just to introduce it and like kind of like what it says. Nothing too crazy. Like I said, it's going to be more me talking about it than going off of like a script or anything like that, or me like reading an article. As it says here, the players are listed according to the rank in Fox Sports Top 20 free agent list. Now, Paul George, this is one of the bigger signings, I think, in my opinion, especially since I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan. I like all Philly teams. I'm like, live close to Philly, and a huge Philly sports fan. So for Paul George signed with the Sixers for 5 years for $212 million, which is huge. Which is a huge deal. Paul George is a huge star, and I think personally, as a Sixers fan, and this is how I'm gonna really be talking as a Sixers fan. Paul George is a great fit for us as a team, for 76ers, and it's just really he's a really good player. I think he could play with Embiid and Maxey, and we'll be getting to some Tyrese Maxey news later in this video, but I think he's going to be a great fit. Now, I always want to give it, a lot of people are saying, I've been reading that this is the Sixers championship year after they signed Paul George, and they're saying that if you want to, they're going to go for a championship, now is going to be the chance for them to go ahead and win a championship, or rather, at least the Eastern Conference now. Um, I think that's a little bit too much to say. I like to see how they are doing later in the season. And if you guys are any Sixers fans out there, you always know that the Sixers lose in the second round at least. Now this past year, I think they lost in the first. They did lose in the first round, but we can never seem to make it past the second round, which is just kind of frustrating. But hopefully, this year might be our year with Paul George. But I think he's definitely a great fit to the team. And they give it a grade A minus. Now I'm just going to read what they said. This is just a little bit of info. So sure, this is a lot of money in a lot of years to guarantee a 34-year-old with a history of injuries, but the Sixers were in use or lose it or use it situation with their cap space, and bringing in George gives them a legitimate title shot over the next 2 years, which might be all that's left for Joel Embiid's prime. George is the perfect fit for the Sixers alongside Embiid and Maxey, a big wing who could create offense, one-on-one play of the ball, and knock down opposing scores, which is that's just their grade and their opinion on it. I won't be reading too much of that, but they are grading it here, and I would agree with the grade, and I'm going to say whether I agree with the grade on each of these free agency signings. That was an A minus. I agree with that. Tyrese Maxey, like I said, I'll get into it later. Re-signed with the Sixers for 5 years for another $204 million, and they give that an A plus, which I agree because he needs to stay on the team. It's good. He's young, and another 5 years on the Sixers for him would be good, and that's pretty big money that he's signing up for, and I think he's proved himself, and he's definitely earned that contract. Maxey, and pretty much the same thing I'm saying. Maxey's young, awesome. He's averaged 25 points, 6 assists per game, at least for last season. But there's definitely bonus points here. That's pretty much it for the Sixers talk. Those are pretty big trades, though. So as a Sixers fan, I'm happy and excited to see what next season brings for us. Now, OG Anunoby re-signed with the Knicks for another 5 years, $2.5 million, and they give it a B plus, which it's a lot of money for a 3 and D role player, but no matter how good he is in that role, but the Sixers and their max cap space lurking, they brought up here again. The Knicks had no choice, and New York does deserve credit here for getting Anunoby in an under full max, which would have been $245 million, which I agree. Anunoby is a good fit for New York, obviously, because he used to be on the Raptors, Toronto, but he, he's a good fit for the Knicks. So I think it's a good thing that they re-signed him, even though I'm not a Knicks fan. And then again, just moving down the line here, James Harden re-signed with the Clippers for 2 years, $70 million. They give it a B, which I agree because, even though James Harden used to be on the Sixers, but he's kind of fit. He's not the best as he used to be. Like, if you know him from his Rockets years when he was on the Rockets, he's not really in his prime anymore, at least in my opinion. But I think the Clippers, he's known to bounce around teams a lot, especially in recent years. But the Clippers re-signing him is probably the smartest decision because he turns 35 in August and he's getting a little bit older, like I said, kind of fading out of his prime. And he's averaging 16.6 points and 8.5 assists in the 72 games for the Clippers last season. But they seem to have prioritized Harden over Paul George because Paul George obviously wanted to get into free agency, but they didn't. I guess the Clippers didn't have enough money to keep him, so that's pretty much what happened there. But it's just probably wasn't the best idea to, like it said here, prioritizing Harden over Paul George, and it's a B. I'll agree with the B grade on there. Now, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope signed with Magic for 3 years, $66 million deal. They give it an A minus. He's an up and coming player. He's won championship in 2023 with the Denver Nuggets. He's a decent player, and I think he's a good acquisition for the Magic, especially since he's getting a little bit better. I think he could develop on the Magic, especially since the Magic is definitely a younger team. And it's decently good money for his play that he puts up. Emmanuel quickly re-signed with the Raptors for 5 years, $175 million. They gave it a B plus. He's pretty good. It says the number seems high, but look better as a cap burst to the NBA's new media deal. Quickly isn't a star, but he's a good combo guard who fits well alongside Scotty Barnes. In his 38 appearances for the Raptors last season, he averaged 18.6 points and 6.8 assists per game and drilled 39.5% of his deep looks. He's also an excellent defender whose teams have typically performed better with him on the floor. That's just the article. Just some of the other opinions. Just good to get mixed opinions, but I would more or less agree. I think Manuel Quickly, he's a smaller player, maybe not as well known, but he used to be on the Knicks. He did good on the Knicks, and I think now on the Raptors he'll be better off re-signing with them. Now here's another big star name, which has shocked everybody. Klay Thompson signs with the Mavericks for 3 years for a $50 million deal, and they give it an A minus. Now, Klay Thompson has been on the Warriors for so many years now, and they've won so many championships with Steph Curry, and everybody's so sad because the Splash Brothers team is gone now. Klay went to the Mavericks, and he opted into free agency, and then he ended up signing with the Mavericks, which is pretty good money for his player, but like I just think like as a basketball fan, it kind of hurts to see that the Warriors aren't what they really used to be. Especially the dynasty. They won a championship one last time in 2023, or no, I think it was 2022. Actually, I got my years wrong. 2022 champion, and it was just it's just kind of sad to see that. So as a fan, and a lot of basketball fans I know are sad to see Klay Thompson go, but I feel like he's getting a little bit older, so it's just sad that he most likely will not retire as a Warrior, but we'll see. But I think he'll be good matched up with Luka Doncic because he's a little bit of Klay Thompson is a veteran, and obviously some of the younger teammates, it's good to have a veteran on your side, especially ones who've won championships. Obviously, the Mavericks just lost in the championship, unfortunately, so maybe it's just hard to see it any other way. But Klay Thompson on another team is just going to be weird next season. It's going to be really weird, but we'll see how it goes. It's just going to be interesting. Nick Claxton re-signed with the Nets for 4 years, $100 million, and they give that a B+. He's signed for some big money. He's a good center for the Nets, I think. He's been on there for a few years now, and he's a pretty decent center. I don't have too much to say about it, but I know he is a very good center, and I have watched a little bit of his play, and I think that's good money for the kind of player he is and what he puts up on the floor at night. Now, Tobias Harris, we used to be on the Sixers, and I'll go a little bit into that too. He signed with the Pistons for 2 years on a $52 million deal, and they give that grade a D+. I, however, disagree. He went back to the Pistons. He used to be on the Pistons a few years ago. And in their opinion, there's no reason for the Pistons to just waste cap space on Harris. It's not that he's bad, though. He didn't have a rough time last season. It's just that given where the Pistons are in the rebuilding process, all their cap space should have been devoted to taking on other teams' contracts in exchange for some sort of asset. Now, I know a lot of Philly fans didn't like Tobias Harris, and they're happy to see him go. I personally really liked him. I think he was a decent player. Maybe not towards the end of his career with Philly, but he was a good player. I liked him. He's good spirited. I really liked him, and I'll be sad to see him go. As a as a Sixers fan, but I agree here. I don't think the Pistons should have re-signed him, and that's just me talking as a NBA fan. The Pistons probably shouldn't have re-signed him, and I don't think Harris should have signed with the Pistons because he was a free agent. I don't really think that he could have had a better option. I think there was a bigger market for him, and personally, I think he's just going to be a little bit wasted in Detroit because I just don't think he's going to be fit there. He might honestly request a trade anyway. If you guys don't know, Detroit sucks, but they're rebuilding. I just don't think. I agree here that they're wasting all their cap space on him, and they could be looking for younger, a little bit better stars in their rebuilding process, the Pistons. And just the last two here for free agency. Now, Chris Paul signed with the Spurs for a 1 year, $11 million deal. I think it's a pretty decent fit. He's a 19-year veteran, and he'll be able to mentor Victor Wembanyama, who's projected to become the face of the league one day. This is just what they say here. On the court, there should be some fun pick and rolls, and off of it, expect there to be lots of film sessions. Paul's known for studying the sport and watching multiple games every night. He could help show Wembanyama the type of focus and obsessiveness it takes to excel in the league. No, this is really good. I think he's a good fit. Now, maybe not necessarily playing because he is definitely getting older. Chris Paul is. But I think having a seasoned veteran, especially like Chris Paul, he has not won a ring, which is, they say that he has not won a ring in his career. And I personally, as an NBA fan, want to see him win a ring. Not sure how much likely that's going to happen. But off topic with that, the Spurs are full of a lot of young guys, especially Victor Wembanyama, and I think he could better use mentor, all the younger guys, and I think it's definitely could be useful to have a seasoned veteran, like I said, on the team, and it should be interesting to see how they play this season, at least for the year, because that's what the contract states. It's a year, $11 million deal now. It'll definitely be interesting, but I think on any team, especially the Spurs with younger guys, it's definitely help to have, especially a guy like Chris Paul. I like him. He's a good player and good guy all around. So I think it'll be good for the Spurs. We'll see where that takes the Spurs. So definitely interesting. And then for the last one here, Obi Toppin re-signed with the Pacers for 4 years, $60 million deal. And they'll give it a C. And for now, they say it's a bargain price, but Tomlin got exposed in the playoffs, and I'd give the signing a lower grade, but if it's a movable contract, so I'll give the Pacers credit for retaining a young asset. Now, Obi Toppin is pretty good. He was on the New York Knicks earlier, and he was in the NBA All-Star Dunk Contest a few years ago, which that's just a little bit of a fun fact I wanted to give. Um, but yeah, other than that, it's a pretty decent deal. I honestly agree with the C. I think the Pacers could have probably negotiated the contract a little bit less. For his play, I think 60 million is a little bit too much in my opinion. But for the Pacers, I think they could have talked him down a little bit to renegotiate the contract. I think, but I think for Obi Toppin, it's a good, good for him. They re-signed for that much money. But I think for how he plays, it's a little bit too much money. But the Pacers could have definitely talked that contract down a little bit, at least in terms of money. But I agree with the C grade. It's definitely an interesting case. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I didn't really talk about too much of the trades or like the NBA draft or anything like that. This is just a lot of the I wanted to go over because a lot of big names signed in free agency like Klay Thompson or Paul George, obviously. But it's definitely something I definitely want to do. Come on here, give my thoughts about it. And I definitely want to do more sports stuff because I don't think I really showed on here, but I really, really love all kinds of sports, and I want to give more of my thoughts on it. Like I said, once the NFL season rolls around, I'm going to be giving more of my thoughts on that. Just NFL stuff. Obviously, MLB is going on right now. I'll be giving my thoughts just in the future when the NBA season comes back. But I definitely want to do more of this because my thoughts is, I'm like I said, big sports. I could talk about sports for a lot of different kinds of things about sports. So I'm really excited to be doing that. We'll get more into sports and my thoughts, and just my thoughts in general. I got a lot of good ideas, good stuff to talk about, obviously. So my thoughts is going to be coming back. It's not that it really ever left, but it's going to be coming back. I have a lot more ideas, stuff to talk about. So it's going to be definitely interesting. And not just that, but besides my thoughts, a lot of things in terms of the channel. Got a lot of good ideas coming up. We're going to cook in here. Because when I took that break, I got an idea, and it's always good to take a little bit of break so you don't get burned out of content. Not that I don't like doing this, but I know some people, if you're a YouTuber, you can relate. You get a little bit burned out sometimes, so you just need a break. It's nice to have a break every once in a while. I also reviewed things on the channel, and lots going good right now, but I just came up with a lot more ideas. So a lot of stuff coming, especially in the summertime. A lot of new good stuff, ideas coming. So stay tuned for that. We'll be back to our, the regular swing of things here. Yeah, that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode of my thoughts. Make sure to subscribe for more content, like the video, all that good stuff. Discord, Twitch, Instagram, links in the description. Got big things coming in the next few weeks. So stay tuned. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.